From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
What's up, world? It's the one and only Pop DBICD PrimeTime Capper, and it is time for the premier sports betting show, the Primetime Angles Live. And you know it's Wednesday, so you know who I have with me today. None other than sports radio, sports agent aficionado himself, Mr. Mike Abadir. What's going on, Money Mike? How's everything going, brother?
Good, man. How you doing? You're representing the old school Rams ball cap. I like it.
It's just fashion. Let's not go.
I know you're a Raiders guy. But I like the ball cap.
Mike, I'm an everybody guy when it comes to the NFL. I'm an everybody guy. Teams that got no loyalty to fans. Mike, you know that.
Equal distributor.
Yeah, I just feel like
you like the team that's on the right side of a point spread.
Right side of the point spread, the straight up winner. The over/under, I'll take it any way that I see fit. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Your favorite team is the big plus money line that wins.
Right. The dog bet of the week.
Yep.
You know, that's who I'm riding on. You know what I mean? I feel like a trainer when it comes to the NFL. You know what I mean? You got so many different horses that you deal with. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It seems like the Raiders been one of them because they've been so good to dog bettors the last 2 weeks, but you know the 1 week they make them a favorite. They overpriced the Raiders. We knew that they set this up so everybody could bet the Dolphins on Sunday to overprice the Raiders, and everybody's looking to the Dolphins to be the upset special on Sunday, and they wound up not being that. Even though Mike was dead on the money about Jacoby Brissett being a gamer and all that good stuff, and I just feel like the Raiders defense just was over there just already celebrating before they won the game. Mike, he worked for him. You know that that happened on plenty of occasions, dude. As long as I've been watching the Raiders, that seems like tradition.
Yeah, no doubt. Look, I firmly believe that with Jacoby Brissett, they were actually maybe a little bit better off than with Tua. The only difference was he hadn't had a lot of reps with the first team, right? Whereas Tua has. If Jacoby Brissett has as much time with the first team as Tua does, I believe Jacoby Brissett is a better quarterback than Tua. That's my personal belief. I'm not a Tua fan. I like him. He's a nice guy, right? But in terms of leading the Dolphins, he is not the heir apparent to Dan Marino. Sorry, Dolphins, you got to try again. And I think the Dolphins know that too. Fitzpatrick last year, when he came in out of the bullpen, did better than Tua. Fitzpatrick, who was replaced when he was off to that 5-2 start or whatever, he was better than Tua. So before, after, he's better. Jacoby Brissett, I think, gives them a better chance to win. Once he has some reps with the first team, he'll be okay. The point that I'm getting at is the Raiders didn't go up against like a backup type of quarterback. They went up against a former starter who still has starter type abilities. So it's a tough game.
Right. And you know what? And the thing about Jacoby is you say he's an adequate starter. That means he's not a guy that's your long-term starter, but he's a guy that can patchwork 5-6 games in a row for you real quick before he gets too much tape put on him. But I think that, pretty much this was a nice little upgrade over Fitzpatrick if we really want to just say, Brissett and everything like that. And I know that the Dolphins had it in their mind that this was a possibility that Tua will be hurt this year. He's already a fragile guy. Regardless what anybody feels and wants to say, we know that he has a debilitating hip. That's that. They won't tell us that, Mike. They won't, but we know this, Mike.
We know that, and his ankle is bad too.
Moving as fast as he was over at Alabama.
No. No.
You know what I mean? He's not even throwing the ball as far as he was at Alabama anyway, because you need your hip for that twerk and all those good things. That's why Dak does that little drill before, because it's not a dance, it's a drill. But a lot of people just like to say it's a dance because they just want to be, they just want to put at 10s on 20s, as they said Friday too.
No, it's definitely not a dance. I mean, these guys, a lot of guys who are very serious about their craft do a lot of flexibility exercises, stretching, yoga. It's all about muscle twitch, fast twitch, and you need to do whatever you need to do to hone that in. If you're too stiff, like a Roman gladiator or something, you're too stiff to play football. So you have to have the muscle with the flexibility. And when you're a quarterback, you need those hips. You need Shakira like hips that don't lie. You need to be able to move around the pocket and like look off the safety and be able to do it in a very fluid manner without giving up like a pitcher giving up his pitch. Every time he throws his curveball, he does this or that, right? Hitters pick up on that. Same thing with safeties. Same thing with offensive coordinators. They pick up on every little minutia in film. They pause it, rewind it, go back and forth, look at the tendencies. So when Dak does that, it's about him becoming a better quarterback for sure. As it relates to Tua, Tua is, look, he came into the league with injury history. He is fragile, as you said, definitely. He can't go downfield. He's got short yardage accuracy, a little bit of escapability, and that's about it. He's a below average NFL starter.
And then this is another thing, Mike. It's a grab. The last 2 seasons, we've had teams obsess over the quarterback position, when we know that we got certain quarterbacks in other draft years that would have never made it past that would have never got picked up until the 5th, 6th round. You know what I mean? Tua, in all honesty, we both know this, that if it was 5, 6 years ago, even though he played at Alabama, it might have been a chance that he might have went undrafted. You know what I mean? Especially if he might have would have stayed another year at Alabama as well, too.
Well, which quarterback has Alabama produced?
Last time I know that Alabama produced a quarterback that was sufficient and actually did something in the NFL relevant, it was Joe Namath. I wasn't alive then.
There you go.
I had to go talk to my dad about Joe Namath, and then when you hear the old stories about Joe Namath, they'll tell you, well, Joe was good, but I wouldn't say that he was the best of the best when he was playing. You know what I mean? He was awesome. It was a New York hype situation. You know what I mean?
He was more of a celebrity than he was a great quarterback. If you look at his stat sheet, it's average.
Right. And he had one great call out when he called out the best team in the world, who at the time, the Baltimore Colts, who have a quarterback that has awards named after him, Johnny Unitas. So, that's, the big difference between the two. And I'm always laughing because I said that they said these Bama guys, these last 3 Bama guys are going to do so good in the NFL. Mac Jones is a basic quarterback. Tua is a quarterback that got pretty lucky because he threw a great catch in a great game. And then, you go back to Jalen Hurts. The reason why he's surviving because he went to Oklahoma and kind of learned how to play the position in a professional sense. And he also is a leader. That's the difference. He's a leader, like a real leader, like a guy that's like someday will be in the front office making moves. You know what I mean? For teams.
Absolutely. So, look, the best comp I could think of for Tua is the kid that came out of Oregon a few years ago, Mariota.
Well, I think Mariota was better, though. To be honest, this.
I don't think Mariota's an NFL starter.
But, in his rookie year, he was decent. He was, and,
a lot of quarterbacks are decent. A lot of quarterbacks are decent in the rookie year because teams haven't figured you out. It's like some pitchers, when they get called up, some pitchers, their best outing is their first outing. Right? Now you got film on you, and then you suck.
Right, but another thing about Mr. Mariota is that he blew out his knee too, right? Second season. Everybody should remember that part, that he blew out his knee. He came back and just ain't never really been the same. And he had like 6 different coordinators as well too. But let's go ahead and talk Raiders 3-0 though right now. That's what the topic at hand is. We'll let the other guys get the skeptics on and all that good stuff because that's what they do. Cause division.
Exactly.
Blue or red, purple or green. You know what I mean? So, all right, Raiders are 3-0 right now. Derek Carr leads the NFL in pass yards right now as well, too, Mike.
Mm-hmm.
This is absolutely incredible because he's tossing the ball around like he's back at Fresno State right now. And I know a lot of people, they had their little doubts about Derek Carr. Why did the Raiders not move on for him for Brady? Blah, 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 blah. But when you look at his stats right now, it's absolutely incredible. The guy is throwing for 1,203 yards already in 3 games. That's absolutely tremendous. That's a 400-yard a game clip. That's historic in itself. He's led the Raiders to 3 straight victories over teams that won 10-plus games last year as well, too. That's the first time that's ever happened in the NFL as well. And then when you look at the Raiders' numbers, you say, how are the Raiders winning these games? The Raiders are dominating the clock. The time of possession, 35 minutes each game per almost, Jeff. I mean, my bad. I mean, Mike. So pretty much I'm thinking about NFL Bet Exchange because we're getting into NFL talk. So pretty much we got some you got some good numbers on Carr this year. He has 6 touchdowns as well too. And the craziest part about the Raiders is that Henry Ruggs actually leads the Raiders in receiving yards right now too, Mike. And we were talking about, me and Mike were texting back and forth on opening night about what would be like, what's going on. When are we going to get a Henry Ruggs sighting? And when's Henry Ruggs going to be the primetime receiver that we feel he can be? When's he going to be Cliff Branch? You know what I mean? That's what you always think about with Raider burners is that when you're going to be Cliff Branch, right, Mike? So,
yeah.
What are your thoughts on Carr and Ruggs and everything like that? And it's crazy that the Raiders have 2 very expensive running backs, but the guy that they picked up off the streets, Peyton Barber, is the leading rusher. So what do you think of this Raider offense?
Well, I think you hit on a lot of the high points. Let me start with Carr for a quick moment. I never understood why people were down on Carr. It doesn't add up to me. He's never had a down year, right? I'm looking at a stat sheet right now. The last 3 years in a row, he has over 100 quarterback rating. The 4 years prior, after his rookie year, were 86, 96, 91, 93. Nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that at all.
I mean, his stats are great. He doesn't throw a lot of interceptions. His career high was 5 years ago. He threw 13. But the last 3 seasons, he's thrown 8, 9, this year 2. 2016, when he had a ridiculously good season, he threw only 6 all year. So I don't understand all of the banter about Carr and Gruden and all this stuff. Carr has been excellent. I don't have a single gripe about Carr. And he's got a lot of comeback wins. He's been playing mostly on a bad team for the most part, without a lot of weapons. And he's still done really well. So now that they're assembling a unit with some weapons, I think Carr is amongst the best in the business. His completion percentage is always very high. His yardage totals are really high every year, 4,000-yard passer. I don't really see a blemish in his game. He doesn't fumble the ball a lot. If I'm being critical about the Raiders offense, it would be, I want to see more of a consistent ground game. And like you mentioned, we finally saw that last week by the least expected of the group. And then maybe to protect Carr a little bit better. He's already taken 8 sacks, and it's not because he's holding onto the ball too much. The O-line just maybe needs to do a little bit better of a job to make the adjustments on the D-line schemes and the linebacker blitzes so that they could keep Carr upright. Other than that, Pop, look, the Raiders, let's see here. They are leading the NFL by a big margin in yards per game. The other great offense in the NFC is the Arizona Cardinals. Well, the Raiders average 471 yards a game. It dips all the way down to 432 for the Cardinals. That's, by the way, the biggest gap between two places in the whole NFL in terms of yardage. That's a big separator between number one and number two. So they're moving the ball very efficiently, particularly in the passing game. They're averaging 380 yards per game in the air. That's pretty crazy. The next team is Tampa at 350 per game. So they're out throwing every team in NFL by at least 30 yards or more. Again, I'd like to see a little bit more consistency with the ground game. You and I both know that a part of that is because Jacob's been playing hurt or not playing at all. So I don't think he's had a healthy quarter in the NFL where he's completely healthy. Not even a healthy quarter, not even one. So I'd like to see what will happen then. Will it be a little bit more of a balanced attack? The other thing that you alluded to, which is their schedule, right? They've played some tough teams, very tough teams. Baltimore, yeah, people are down on the Steelers, but the Steelers beat they beat the Buffalo Bills in week 1, right? People are high on the Bills. Steelers beat the Bills, right? So the Raiders have now beaten the Ravens, the Steelers, and the Dolphins. 3 teams that definitely could contend for playoff spots. By the way, they've also got 2 of the AFC North teams out of the way. 2 of the better teams, right, on their schedule. They got them out of the way early, which is kind of cool. So now the remaining ones are against Cincinnati, which is at home on November 21st. And the Browns on December 19th. Those will be the 2 remaining AFC North teams remaining on the schedule. So that's kind of my analysis offensively, at least. We haven't gotten into the defense yet, but the offense has carried this team so far.
Well, the defense, we both know it's the same old song with the defense right now. But the Raiders do have they have some true pass rushers right now in Ngwekwe, however you pronounce his last name. And then you have Mr. Mad Max Crosby. And then you have a guy that's always been a really intelligent player. He got some attention this summer, too, because he came out. And that's Carl Nassib. Nassib has always been a high-energy guy. And I think that he's super motivated. And you know what? He's a tricky guy. He's kind of dirty, too. I saw him hold on to Brissett's knee brace. I said, see, this is how defensive players got to play. I know that everybody's always worried about penalties and all this stuff, but when you play defense, you got to be nasty.
Oh, yeah.
You can be the offense. I see way too many handshakes after a sack. You know what I mean? I remember the days where it used to be like, you got to get sacked. You just go back to the huddle. I'm not shaking your hand.
You're not picking him up off the ground and stuff.
For you. You know what I mean? What is this defense? And I think that's why a lot of defense, and you notice the defenses that always do that, Mike, are the defenses that constantly get killed every week, every Sunday. They give up 400 yards, 30 points, and they're always helping somebody up, saying good job and patting on the helmets and all that stuff.
You know who started that, by the way?
You
know who started that, by the way?
I would
Michael
say
Strahan picking up Brett Favre. And Favre returned the favor by going down and giving Strahan the sack record, which he has not been able to live down, by the way. So many people give him grief about that, even his teammates. Like, oh, it's a cheap record. It's a Brett Favre record, right? But Strahan started that. He's a nice guy. Obviously, Strahan had a bigger vision in mind. You know, he parlayed his NFL career into an entertainment career afterwards. He's now one of the most visible faces in America in a lot of people's living rooms with Good Morning America. Right?
And he has no gap anymore either.
Did he fix the gap?
Yeah, he fixed his gap. He even had a special about it.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that. I thought he liked the gap because it made him recognizable. I didn't realize that.
No, he
All
fixed
right,
it.
well, no more gap.
The
That's
thing
too
is,
bad.
because Mike was really country when he came to New York. Now he's not. He's
Oh
a New
yeah,
Yorker now.
he was
He was a
really,
country
really
guy.
country from like country part of Texas, outside of Houston.
Right.
Really country. Absolutely, you're totally right about that.
Silly country. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Oh yeah.
I don't know much. City slicker. You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah.
That guy's country.
He's even stated that, like, when he got to New York, it was eye-opening. You
Right.
know, it was just a different world for him.
Right.
But anyways, yeah. So Strahan's the one that kind of started that, and I agree with you. There's a lot of softness, let's just say, in the NFL. Soft defenses overall. The rules have been adjusted to also contribute to that softness. I like the days of Ronnie Lott. You steamroll a receiver coming across. Charles Haley, Deacon Jones. Have you seen Deacon Jones in any of those old school NFL films?
Nasty.
He's like, I hate quarterbacks.
Right.
I hate them with a passion. And it's almost like you're like, is he faking it? No, it's deeply rooted. He hates them.
Right.
You kind of have to have that hatred. You're not picking them up when you hate them.
Right.
You're spitting in their face, stepping on them one more time with your cleats when you hate them.
Right. And that's why I'm like, that's why Brady survived. Because I said if it was like Montana's day, it was like the Giants, those 2 games, they literally took him out for the season or out of a very important game. The Giants had all intentions of hurting him that day. It wasn't if we get to the quarterback, maybe we'll mess him up. No, we're gonna get to him, and then we're gonna put him out the game.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
what we're gonna do.
LT, Pepper Johnson, excuse me, and and Harry Carson.
Right, ruthless.
They wanted to destroy him, right? Now, if you look at 3 of the top quarterbacks from that era and how much they got beat up, Montana had a hurt back, multiple back surgeries. Dan Marino, I think he had 17 knee surgeries, if you include scopes. Steve Young, he had 8 concussions? Aikman, bunch of concussions. Those guys all had to retire prematurely because of concussions, right? It's guys like that took abuse.
He was done, bro. By the time that 9th concussion came around, he's what, in the 17th year by that point?
Well, he was still balling though, but when you take that many hits, it's going to affect your game. I mean, he came out of he was off on the sidelines one time, and they asked him, "Who are you?" And he said, "I'm Batman," with a straight face.
Right.
So he was in bad shape, man. He was in really bad shape. So, anyways, the point being, NFL, I think they had to get a little bit softer because they're like, if these guys are all getting beat up, they're kind of our bread and butter, these QBs, and if they're all having to leave the game early, it's going to water down our league. So we got to keep them upright and protect them and make sure they don't get hurt. So that's what's led to the rules today, which has also led to softness amongst defenses. So the goal then is, how can we put together a successful defense in this modern era? How do you compete within the rules? The Raiders' formula has been putting pressure on the quarterback, but they're not strong against the run, and they're giving up a lot of yardage, Pop. So they've got some things to work on defensively, schematically, etc.
Well, my biggest issue with the Raiders are the reason why the defense isn't playing well, because they're already not really a good defense as is. You know what I mean? Because they're pretty much average when you look at the roster and the players on it. This defense, for them to really be able to complement this offense, they have to get turnovers. They only got 1 interception on the season. I know they got a couple fumble recoveries opening night, but they got to get some turnovers in these games, because That's what really helps out Derek Carr and the crew is when you get in turnovers, keep putting the ball on the right side of the ball for the offense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
On the winning side of the ball for the offense. You know what I mean? And you can't have these back and forth games where we're having thriller moments, and you can't have these games where the Raiders got to play from behind as well too. Luckily enough, the Dolphins were not good offensively Sunday to where the Raiders could make that comeback because the Dolphins offense is not good. That they're bottom tier right now when it comes to overall offense, Mike. So pretty much that was why we were able to come
Did you
back.
notice, by the way, that the Dolphins didn't even have a goal line play? They didn't have a goal line play. They got to that fourth down and got lucky to be able to even execute to get to a point where they could take it to overtime.
Millions of dollars to offensive coordinators, and they don't have a goal line play. You could have just played Madden and figured out a goal line play.
No doubt, man. Seriously.
Right. So, so that's just something that the Dolphins need to work on. But all in all, though, the Raiders are playing some great football, and they've been saved by the kicker as well, too. The kicker is 9 for 9 on the season as well, too, with a game winner and then a clutch kick to put the game in overtime as well, too. So there's all the factors and all the good things are happening on the offensive side of the ball. The defensive side of the ball is where the struggle is at, but it can be improved over time because the Raiders make the big plays, it seems like, when they need to. But that didn't happen Sunday in the fourth quarter. You just kept telling yourself, Mike, like, when's it going to be the time that the Dolphins come back? Because the Raiders were up 8 the whole quarter. And you just kept telling yourself they're doing way too much to keep the Dolphins in this game. They're not doing enough offensively at this point. They're kind of just going with the flow and hoping that defense can just shut this thing down for them late. And that wound up not happening. But at the same time, though, too, they had a really, really dumb penalty, and that comes back from being undisciplined as well, too. Come on, Mike. Wasn't it a 43-yard pass interference or something like that?
Yeah.
So
they've given up 6 first downs by penalty. So that's 2 per game so far.
Right.
I don't know where that ranks in the NFL, but I know that Gruden doesn't like to give up any first downs based on penalty. You're going to have some here and there, defensive holding, etc. But a good disciplined team is able to figure out a way to get away with that if they're going to do it.
Right. So, final thoughts before we move on to
thoughts are that the Raiders have successfully gotten through a difficult portion of their schedule, Pop. Upcoming, they've got the Chargers on a big Monday Night Football game coming up here in LA.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a very, very big game because they have an opportunity to separate themselves from one of the teams that could be a contender in the Chargers, right? So think of it this way. Follow me on this, Pop. If they win this game, they're going to be 4-0, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But the Chargers will fall to 2-2. 2 games back. 2 games back in baseball is overcomable. 2 games back in football is a decent deficit. You got to make up, 2 games in, 13 left. It's not easy necessarily because you're going to have to hope that a team slumps. Right? Think of it this way. If in the next 13 games, if they win, if the Raiders win, be 4-0, in the next 13 that follow, if they are 7-6, they'd have an 11-6 record for the year. That's all they have to do is basically be 1 above 500. So that means the Chargers, if they fall to 2-2, they're going to have to really excel and play 9-4 football, win 9 out of their last 13 to tie the Raiders. That's why this game is critical.
Oh, I thought it was.
And Gruden knows that. What's that?
I thought it was the Chiefs world. Oh, that's the last place team right now.
Yeah, well, I'm not burying the Chiefs by any stretch of the imagination. To me, I think they're still the favorite, but I was just focusing on the Raiders in this game that's coming up. because, as you mentioned, they do have the Chiefs twice still on their schedule. But let's look at the soft portion of their schedule, Pop, and celebrate that for a moment, because that's what's coming up. Okay. So after the Chargers, they have the Bears, the Broncos, the Eagles, the Giants. So they have all those teams before they even see the Chiefs one time. Right? So, yeah, Denver is going to be tough, but they're not as good as their 3-0 start. They've beaten three lousy teams so far. Right? They're 3-0, but they've beaten the Jets and just a bunch of nonsense. So I'm not like riding high on Denver so far. Let's see what they do in the tough part of their schedule. Right? So basically, they got 2 division rivals and then a bunch of crappy teams. Not a bunch, but I mean, the Eagles and the Giants, very, very winnable games. The Bears, very winnable game. They should go 4-1 in this stretch. So if they did, they'd be going into KC with an 8-1 record, Pop. And no matter what KC does, they will not have a better record than that when they meet up. Very important stretch for the Raiders to take care of business. That's my final word on the Raiders.
And I totally agree with that. Can't wait till Monday night. Hopefully Mike can pull some strings for us so we can go ahead and get some sideline seats or something of that nature. Mike, call up your old buddy Mark Davis. You know, I know you used to work with him when his dad used to be like, get out the room. Grown folks are talking.
You know, I used to I consider myself really lucky when Mr. Davis acknowledged my good morning or good afternoon. Usually I walked by and kind of gave a head nod. But whenever he kind of came back with good morning to you as well. And by the way, it was never after a loss. Ever. That week was a crappy week after Raiders L.
Right.
And if you were happy in the office, it was almost like, what's wrong with you? So everybody had a very like somber tone for the whole week. And unfortunately, it was very somber for a long time until Gannon came around, you know? Gannon and Gruden turned the ship around for a couple of years. But that was even short-lived.
Right. All right. Well, let's go ahead and talk about what the NFL game of the week is, because if it's on Sunday Night Football, it's literally the game of the week, and it's Brady versus Bill. And shots already fired by Kraft. Kraft said that dealing with Bill was a big headache for him.
He called him an idiot savant.
Yeah, idiot savant, and he also had some not choice words as well too. And pretty much kind of makes sense. But at the end of the day, they had a successful run. But this gives you the idea that maybe Belichick is running short on time in New England as well too.
It's got it, right? Because why would you even release this book while Bill is still the head coach?
And you can see frustration kind of piling over a little bit Sunday, because that game was bad for the Patriots. And the Patriots offense is literally showing that they can only get they can probably only score about 24 points a game with this rookie quarterback. And that's because defense might supply a touchdown. And they were absolutely awful against your Saints, man. You know what I mean? I know that the Saints went in there as underdogs. I don't know why, but I thought it should have been an even split when it came to that game. And then Sean Payton just absolutely outcoached Bill Belichick from the rooter to the tutor, man. And simply put, the Patriots are in big, big trouble moving forward if they can't get this thing stabilized. And then they have Tom coming in here Sunday. He got nothing but revenge on his mind. And this could be that game where it's like, told you, Bill. Should have did what I asked you to do.
Yeah. Can I mention something about rookie quarterbacks since you mentioned Mac Jones? So who are the rookie quarterbacks this year that we're talking about? Zach Wilson, Trevor Lawrence, Mac Jones, Justin Fields. Anybody else?
Oh yeah, we got Trey. Oh, and San Francisco fans literally wanted.
Okay, but he's not the
Jimmy
starter.
G,
I'm just talking about
but
as
they
a
wanted
starter.
Jimmy G benched at halftime.
Yeah, I know.
San
So,
Francisco fans, because they know better than the coach.
Yeah, of course they do. So those guys that I mentioned that are starters are 0-10. Not a single win amongst them. So you tell me, how's this crop so far? Well, early to make a judgment call.
Matt got the win over the Jets.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
1-10.
Yeah.
It's 1-10 record. I apologize about that. Not very good. And I would say, by the way, they didn't win because of him, but they won because of their defense.
Right.
But overall, I mean, yeah, it's early to make a judgment call on these guys, but I don't even see flashes of Andrew Luck's rookie year or anything resembling that, man. Garbage. Now, in terms of Belichick and Kraft, if Belichick believes in Mac Jones, I think we're going to find out pretty soon here. Maybe this all calls for, hey, man, I'm leaving unless you rework my deal. And I think Bill would only want to do that if he's got a quarterback for the next 10 years. If he doesn't want to tarnish his record, man. His win-loss record is really stellar. You know, before the benchmark was Madden's win-loss record as a head coach. Now it's Belichick's. Now when the gold standard is going to be Belichick's, especially with the number of Super Bowls, man. So he's egotistical. We know that. He doesn't want that win-loss record to start suffering. So it'll be very telling. It'll tell us how much he believes in this team. I know he's a defensive-minded coach, and I think he's got to be fairly pleased with the defense so far. So I question the timing of this book. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense that it would be released mid-year. So maybe this is telegraphing that this is the last season for Bill Belichick in New England. Maybe even he's told Kraft that, right? Maybe he said, hey, I'm done. We don't get along. After this season, I'm done. So Kraft's like, okay, well, if you're done, I'm going to release my book anyways then. There'll be more fanfare about it while you're here than if you're already gone.
Well, catch this bold take real quick.
Okay.
Because I agree with everything you're saying right now. But let's go ahead and add on some extras to it, okay?
Okay.
Bill doesn't have a great year. Say they go 7-10 or something like that. You know what I mean? They don't go to the playoffs. They don't do any of that. And just like you said, I'm out of here. I'm done. You know why Bill can say I'm out of here and done? Because all he has to do is go right down the way back over to the Giants, because the Giants will probably be on the verge of firing their coach at the end of the year. He's already getting a little besides himself, because, no GM wants to hear a coach, destroying analytics. And that's exactly what he did. You know what I mean? Because analytics, he had a great point, but analytics is a good strategy. You know what I mean? It's good, something good to use. It's good to have numbers. You know what I mean? So you know what you're doing out there. And I think when you start doing things like that, then they already have a bad GM as is. The Giants, if they would see Belichick available, I promise you they would give him a front office position and let him be the head coach as well, too, because that's how bad they would want to Bill Belichick. Come on. They went and got his special teams coach of all coaches, Joe Judge. Come on, Mike. So what you think when the big fish becomes available? Do you think the Giants would go ahead and break the bank for him, knowing that they're probably going to move on from Daniel Jones very soon as well, too?
I think they're going to try to, but I personally think he's just going to retire.
That's the best idea.
Right? He's going to do what Jimmy Johnson did. I'm going to sit on my record. Jimmy Johnson, when he retired, he was like, hey, man, it isn't going to get better than winning these Super Bowls. So I might as well ride in the sunset on a winning note, right? Belichick doesn't want to have multiple losing years after his last Super Bowl. So, yeah, I think he would just ride off in the sunset, man. He's not young. I mean, him and Pete Carroll are amongst the oldest coaches in the NFL, if not 1 and 2. So he's no young chicken, and we're seeing that a lot of teams are going to the younger guys. So the Patriots have, especially after this book, we already knew this anyways, but Bill O'Brien and Josh McDaniel were 2 of the names that were heir apparents to Bill Belichick. Now, O'Brien was the heir apparent because Brady wanted him to, because he worked with him on the offense and got along with him really well and liked his style. Now that Brady's gone, I don't know who the heir apparent is. Maybe it's still either of those 2 guys. The Patriots will definitely promote from within, but I think Bill retires, man. Why would he want to go to a project at this stage of his career? Because if they get rid of Daniel Jones, they're basically starting over, right?
Right.
So, I mean, I don't know. Maybe if there was a trade done and they got Deshaun Watson or something, maybe he would want to continue if he could work with that kind of talent. I mean, he's a top 5 NFL quarterback and he ain't playing.
Right.
So I don't know. That I'm just throwing out a wild kind of possibility. But, I don't really see a team that he would be eagerly wanting to jump into. Bruce Arians was very lucky with the Tampa opening. He had some pieces already. He had a high-flying offense. Even though Winston was throwing INTs, they were moving the ball really well. And he had great receivers in Godwin and Mike Evans, and he had nice pieces, like I said. Maybe if Belichick finds a situation like that, I don't know.
All right. So with that, great stuff, Mike. So with that, we got to take a quick commercial break. And when we get back, we're going to go ahead and we're going to talk some baseball, Mike. We're going to talk about some pick sixes and AL wildcard races, all that good stuff. So you guys stay tuned. This is the premier sports betting show, the Primetime Angles Live, with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the Primetime Capper, and the man himself, Mr. Mike Abadir. And we will be right back in a few. Come on. Now you and your friends. The Viget app, where social media meets sports betting. Get the latest line movements in all major sports. Track your daily bets, daily contests, the NFL over-under contest that pays out $10K in cash prizes. This is a cutting-edge app that helps betting be easy. Sign up with the reference code POPDBIC and you will be able to watch my daily show, The Primetime Angles, as a resource to building that bankroll. Viget is available in your Apple or Google Store on your iOS or Android. The social sports betting app, Viget.
From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
All right, we are back with the premier sports betting show, the Primetime Angles Live, with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the Primetime Capper, and Mr. Mike Abadir. And Mike, we are here now. The AL is an absolute just parody show. You got 3 AL East teams, and then you got the pesky Mariners. Go away. Why don't you go away, Seattle? And Mike, I've been tooting that horn all year long, man.
You have?
I'm telling you.
Yeah, but you know what I'm sad about, Pop?
Yeah.
This is the last time that we're going to be talking pick six with baseball this year.
Well, we got
playoffs, but I mean, the regular season, this is it. There's no more regular season, man. I love baseball. I love postseason too, but postseason means no regular season anymore. I mean, I don't even know what I wish for. 200 games, 360 games. I don't know. I guess it's got to be this way, but the regular season is going to be over. This last week is going to be bonkers. There's still a lot to be determined. Before we get into some of these games, I want to just ask you something, because you've held out hope all season long that the Dodgers would overtake the Giants. And every week that I've asked, you've said yes. So I got to ask one more time. Now that we got 6 games left, will the Dodgers overtake the Giants?
Depends on what happens during the weekend.
Well, of course, but I mean, what's your prediction, though?
That's the tougher series for both teams. So pretty much, I'm gonna hold out hope and hope the Dodgers would get the half a game. But I've already accepted the fact that it's a possibility that they will have to play a playing game, and if they do have to play that playing game, they are sufficient and good enough to win that game. And yes, I know the Cardinals are coming 17 deep and they're looking good on the way in and da. But we have to remember another thing too, though. They don't play in the greatest division either, and they've been really killing off a lot of their division opponents as well, division rivals. You know what I mean? Only team that is really an issue is the Brewers and the because the Reds are falling apart as well too. So, the Cardinals are looking real good coming in, but I think that, pretty much when you win a lot like the way that they're winning, you're just pretty much just showing up for the playoffs, because I think that the Dodgers should get that one handily, especially with Mad Max is the possible starter for that day as well too. Then you probably have Kershaw backing him up, or Urias or Bueller, old Dave, he'll pull out everybody if he has to. And I think that the Dodgers are fine. They're already have clinched the playoff spot. They've had a great season, 102 wins on the year as well too. There's nothing to sit up in here and be worried about, because you're supposed to win the game. You know what I mean? And it is what it is. But we play in a world now where the underdog's always going to get a lot of love, man. And everybody loves an underdog story, but it doesn't really matter to me, as I kept saying. You're not going to be able to avoid the Giants in the divisional series regardless of anything. So it is what it is at the end of the day. So it's going to be fun. Hopefully they can win their next. They can sweep out the week. If the Giants lose two games or 3 games, and they wind up, winning by half a game. But
but look,
it's over with.
The difficult part about it is this: they're 2 games back. They each play the Padres, and then the only distinction, the Dodgers have the Brewers, Giants have the Diamondbacks. That's going to be tough for the Dodgers, right?
Well,
so the Padres leave here and then play San Francisco in San Francisco. So the Padres are going from LA, from Dodger Stadium to San Francisco, and the Dodgers are staying at home against the Brewers. And the Giants have 2 more against Arizona. It'd be tough to make up that ground, man. I think you resorting to the fact that they're going to be a wild card team is probably right. I mean, a lot would have bad games for the Giants to mess up would have to happen in order for the Dodgers to overtake them. But assuming that they are probably going to be a wild card, I agree with you. There's no reason in the world why they wouldn't win that first game. That do or die game. They should. They're stacked.
Well, Mike, I was trying to avoid this, man. That's why I didn't have Blue Crew Daily, none of that stuff today. But I just like Mike being a Central California person and a Dodger hater. Yeah, I'm gonna say it. Gino, I hope Gino watch it too. You go just stick your finger right to the bullet hole. I got you, man. That's
Look,
cool.
I'm not a Giants fan and I'm not a Dodger fan. I'm just trying to be realistic.
Right. I want to talk about the AL wild card race, man. I know what's going on. My Dodgers over here, 2 back. It's 4 games left to go. They somewhat need a miracle because it sucks that the Giants didn't have more series because they played all their series early in the year because the way the schedule makers set it up, they set it up to where they didn't think the Giants were going to be that great of a team. So that's why they set up all the Giants games early. And then they give you the Padres late in the season, last week of the year, because they think that's who you're going to play. And then they have you set up with the Brewers, who possibly where they probably had an idea that the Brewers would be having to play for the NL Central this weekend. So let's make it hard on you and how you go against the Dodgers. You know what I mean? So we'll see what's up, man. The Dodgers should be right there, man. I just didn't want to be redundant and keep bringing it up, man, because it feels like the last 3 months, every week, it's just I'm Bill Murray Groundhog's Day. They'll be back next week. We finally got them, and then they blew it that weekend. So it is what it is, Mike.
Yeah. Okay. So you want to talk about AL wild card?
Yes,
I'm going to make it really simple for you.
Man.
I'm going to make it really simple for you. The Red Sox face Baltimore. Yeah, they lost to them in a low-scoring game yesterday. Chris Sale pitched his butt off, but made one mistake pitch. So they got Baltimore and the Nationals. The Blue Jays have the Yankees and the Orioles. The Yankees have the Blue Jays in Tampa. So the Yankees definitely have the tough schedule. They don't have any easy games. The Red Sox are going up against, they've got 5 games left against teams that are already in, where do they go, Pop? Cancun?
Yep.
They're in Cancun. They're gone. So the Red Sox have the easiest schedule by far. So I'm going to make a prediction. The winner of these next 2 games between the Blue Jays and the Yankees is going to win the second wild card. And the Red Sox are going to get the other wild card.
So we just totally going to overlook the Mariners, who are now a half a game ahead of the Blue Jays. I'm telling you, the Mariners are coming like that horse up that rail, 1 hole, 7 hole, and they are trying to get to that finish line, and they are gunning it, Mike. And come on, brother, you see them coming.
Yeah, I do see them coming. The analytics give the Blue Jays a better chance percentage-wise. The analytics say the Blue Jays have an 18% chance. The Mariners a 14% chance. What does analytics know, though, right? I mean, I don't know. The Mariners still have another game against the A's, and they've got the Angels. The difficult part for the Mariners is this. They've only got 4 games left. If you need to make up ground, you need more games. They've only got 4 left, whereas the other teams have 5. That's the difficult part about it for the Mariners. And I think that's why the analytics gives the edge to the Blue Jays over the Mariners.
We will see, brother. We will see. I love the way that this weekend is shaping up for the AL wild card race. I think it's absolutely incredible. And you know what? It's gonna go down as one of those weekends this year. It's one of the better MLB seasons this year as well, too. Even though we had a lot of losing going on this year, because literally there's only about 10 teams in the league that have a winning record. Everybody else is just 80 games or worse. 80 losses or worse. So, we only had so many good teams this year in the MLB, but we had a great season because we had great games left and right. You know what I mean? And great nights, and teams that aren't really good getting pitchers that get no hitters. John Means. So it's been a good season, man. I think it's been good to the fans as well, too, with, everything coming back the way that it came back. And I think fans have been really appreciative and very supportive of the game as well, too. So it's going to be fun, man. It's going to be a lot of fun, especially the AL side of things, because it's wide open. Because I love the Rays, but you just can't say the Rays are going to be that team. You know what I mean? So we're going to have some fun. And the Yankees, believe it or not, if they make the Final Four, they got a strong possibility of getting to the World Series because they got good in the second half of the season, unlike they usually do, where they're really good in the first half and then they're kind of whatever in the second half of the season. Now your Red
Well, I'll
Sox,
tell you what, though, if I'm a playoff team like the White Sox, I do not want to face any of those AL East teams.
Yeah, you play in the
Who would want to go up against the Blue Jays or the Yankees or the Red Sox? Each of those teams can bash like crazy.
I dig it. And, when you look at the White Sox, they're winning their division right now by 12 and a half games. Nobody in the division has a winning record but them. And that sometimes your division might be the part that does you in because you didn't play against you played against everybody in the AL, but you consistently played against bad teams. That's why you're here. And you beat them. You know what I mean? Anybody who could get the advantage in that division is going to be here. So it is what it is at the end of the day. You know what I mean? So, that's what I'm looking at. And I think that, I totally agree with you. White Sox do not want to see Yankees. They don't want to see a Red Sox. They don't want to see a Rays, even though they're right behind the Rays. And they definitely don't want to see the dark horse of them all, the Astros, because that's still the team that you have to recognize and say, you know what? They got a lot of really good players, and they got some good pitching going on over there as well, too. It doesn't matter what they did a few years back. They still here, and they still a damn good team. You have to take them seriously.
Agreed.
All right, so you ready to talk about some games?
Let's do it, man.
All right, Cubs, Pirates. We doing Cancun games today, Mike. See, these are the best games, Mike, because they got to play. It ain't no, oh, yeah, well, playoff situation for the other team, so we'll just hang out. No, they got to play today. And today, I like the under in this spot. I think both pitchers come in here and kind of catch us off guard. I think a lot of people are going to overbet the over. And when I see a spot like that, I got to jump on the other side. And I think that the under 8.5 is going to be a good play today. Mike, what are your thoughts?
Well, we don't know anything about this call-up for the Pirates. This young Dominican kid, 21 years old, Ronzi Contreras. He's the one that I think Pittsburgh felt deserved a start before the end of the year. So we know nothing about him. Kyle Hendricks, look, at this point of the season where they're halfway to Cancun, it's kind of about stats. So Kyle Hendricks, he wants to nail down that 15th win. We don't know anything about that other pitcher, though. So I would not be surprised if he has a good outing because teams aren't familiar with him. So to me, this is a no-touch game. And I think the line suggests that, right? Minus 120 and plus 100. Too hard to call. But I think this Dominican kid is going to pitch a good ball game. I like the under as well. Under 8.5.
Yes, sir. So we move on and let's go ahead and talk about our next game up. It's going to be the Marlins at the Mets. And the Marlins and the Mets are going to be like a little something like this. The Mets are disappointed, man. The Mets 3 months as the leader of the NL East, and nobody ever believed you was going to win the division. That's just sad. You know what I mean? But how can you do that with guys like Taiwan Walker, who play for 75 teams in the MLB? How can you do that with a guy who's kind of an overhype in Marcus Stroman? You know what I mean? And then you kind of got yourself a good one in McGill. You know what I mean? He's decent. But everything fell apart the day that DeGrom just wasn't feeling it for the rest of the year. He just couldn't withstand those injuries from carrying the Mets on his back the last decade. You know what I mean? So it is what it is. The Mets, you get to live in misery, man. You got to protect your best players, dude, from themselves.
Look, man, the Mets, I don't
It's
know what it is.
what they do to what they've done to DeGrom. You know that.
Well, I'm going to take it a step further, man. I'm going to take it a step further. I think they abused their pitchers overall.
Right.
Do you remember like maybe about 12, 15 years ago when they had the three, big time call up Bill Pulsifer and I don't even remember who else now. Paul Wilson. Who's the third guy? It'll come to me. They were all like first round draft picks. They were all huge, huge prospects, right? They all got hurt, right? Batman gets hurt. Thor gets hurt. DeGrom gets hurt. Every single one of them has had their career either on hold or derailed by injury. The Mets have to be doing something wrong, and I don't know how people aren't talking about that because they must be doing something in their minor league system or they need a new strength and conditioning coach. Something's going on. Something ain't working with the New York Mets. Let me reel it in to this game. You mentioned Taiwan Walker. He is on the hill. And by the way, one more Mets note. Do you know this is the first time in Major League history that a team has led their division for 135 days or more and finished under 500? Crazy stat of the day. And the Mets will finish under 500. They've already clinched that. Nice pitching matchup. Taiwan Walker against Eliezer Hernandez. Walker has been a little bit overrated, a little bit overhyped. His best pitching was in the first half of the season. At this point now, he wants to keep his ERA under 5. So Taiwan Walker isn't what people have made him out to be. He had a nice early season run, but that's about it. The Marlins, they're still trying to find themselves. I think the play here is the over 7. I'm shocked that it's 7. Neither pitcher is dealing.
Well, Citi Field does yield a lot of unders, and I can understand why. But I'm with you though, Mike. You got to make this one like an 8 or 9.
This is my favorite play of the day, Pop.
Gotcha.
For anybody out there that's playing, over 7.
Over 7. And I like the Marlins here. I think the Marlins keep the game close. I don't say they win, but they keep the game close. So you guys know when I say that, you know where I'm going. +1.5. So we move on. Talk to me about the Tigers and the Twins, Mikey.
Twins, maybe the second biggest disappointment in baseball. The biggest being the Padres, who will not be 500 this year, as amazing as that sounds. But this is probably the best pitcher for the Twins this year, Michael Pineda, having a nice season, and one of the best pitchers for the Tigers, Casey Mize. Both of their ERAs are in the 3s, which isn't bad for teams that are well below 500. So this is a decent pitching matchup. Both of these ball clubs, AL Central ball clubs, are towards the bottom of their standings. The Tigers are losers of 3 in a row. There's not a lot of highlights for them outside of Miggy's 500th career home run. Both these teams have given up a lot more runs than they've scored. I think this is another overplay here, over 9. Even though the pitchers are doing well, I don't think the bullpens, even if they get good outings from the starters, the bullpens won't be able to hold it. This is going to be a classic American League game that's like 8-4, 8-6, 9-7, over 9 runs.
Well, the Tigers and Twins have had some really good games this year. They had one game where I think they scored, it was 16-14 or something of that nature. I was in Vegas watching that game too. But all in all, though, I like the Twins tonight, Mike. I think that the Twins can win this game. And I like them with the 1.5 as well, too. I'm getting a little bit of love there on the value, but not enough love on the value. But I think that Pineda pitches a gem tonight. He gets himself some run support. They wind up winning this game. And moving forward from there, and that's how I'm feeling in this spot. right now, and I think that it's a sharp bet, but we'll see how it shakes out. The Twins have been bad all season, so you can't expect them to do great things. You just got to sit there and watch and hope they win the game by 2 or more runs. So, but what was I going to say? I wanted to say something. But shout out to the Tigers for holding down third place all season. I thought they were a basement team, 110 loss team at that too when I looked at the roster. But no, Detroit, I'm not saying that you're going to be good next year, but that's good confidence moving forward that you finished third place, though. But you finished third place in the division where 4 teams are under 500. But you still finished third place. We didn't expect that. So good job, Tigers. We move on. All right. So we got the Angels and the Rangers. This is a kick around game. All the Angels are going to do is just go vacation over at the Disney World stuff. Just going over to the Disney Hilton, the downtown Disney Hilton.
Yep.
Because it's good living over there for a lot of these Angels guys. Newport.
Yeah, no doubt, man.
Come on. They stay at all the fun places. Newport Beach, Seal Beach, all those places.
For sure. Huntington.
It's some easy living over there with the Angels. You don't even care about winning games. You know what I mean? So,
Well, and Shohei Ohtani came out and had some thoughts about that. He was a little bit critical of the losing atmosphere. It's the first time that he's really said anything remotely controversial thus far. And if people are listening, it's kind of funny, though, because it shows his leadership versus Mike Trout. And I'm not trying to bag on Mike Trout, but he's just a good all-American type guy. Doesn't ruffle any feathers. He just goes out there and plays MVP baseball, keeps his mouth shut, and roots for the Eagles. And that's about it. Shohei Ohtani's coming in here and saying, hey, I have now put up my numbers. I've done my thing. I need the rest of the team to follow. I don't like losing. I don't like the losing atmosphere. Let's see how the front office responds, because you got to keep Shohei Ohtani happy. He gave them a huge discount. He wanted to prove himself first. Think about that contract when he goes out at the open market. $500 million?
Let me tell you something. Let me just keep it real with you. 2 words. The Yankees. Tell me right now. The Yankees. They was already getting prepared when he came to the stadium. They'll be on line 1 for him. You know this, Mike. You know that they'll jump right in front of the Angels over here at the winter meetings and have their money ready.
Yeah. Well, the only thing that keeps the Angels hopeful is A, if they do win, B, playing alongside Mike Trout, and C, and maybe most importantly, Shohei Ohtani wanted to play on the West Coast. I think he wanted a shorter flight distance to Japan. I don't know if he still kind of holds firm on that hope. But other than that, man, it's absolutely scripted for the Yankees to be the team, man. No doubt about that, brother.
Yankees. And then, the Dodgers will try to swing their stuff up in there too.
But, yeah.
Let's talk about the game tonight. I like, and it's funny, I'm saying his name, Jansen Junk.
Junk always pitches on Wednesdays when we come on.
Yeah, Junk. I'm going with Junk tonight. Go, Junk.
I'm going to go with the youngster. I'm going to go with this youngster, Taylor Hearn, for the Rangers.
I think, is he related to Tommy?
He's got a little boxing in him, right? He's got a little grit.
He's decent. He won a game one night he wasn't supposed to win. So, we going with young pitchers tonight. I'm with Junkie. He's with Herney. So we'll see how it goes. I'm taking the plus 100 on the Angels tonight. Mike, I'm guessing you're taking the Rangers with the minus 120?
Yes.
All right. So there it is. Worthless AL West matchup. The better matchup is in Seattle tonight. And the Astros have to play the Rays. But the Astros is smooth sailing, though. They good. Good. All right. So we have the Indians at the Royals. Mike's team. Mike's they're going to shock the world team. And they didn't do too much shocking the world, but they had a great first 6 weeks. You're not going to take anything away from that great 6 weeks that they had. Everybody in the MLB is entitled to a good 6 weeks. Even Arizona and Baltimore had a good 6 weeks at one point the season. Even though it didn't yield many wins, it yielded a lot of covers, but still, we know you got to have that team that you're going to give a chance to. And Mike was real bold on the Royals. It looked really good at first, but injuries kind of wiped them out a little bit. Indians, on the other hand, I think the Indians were a very big disappointment this year. They should have been much better than what they really were. But they did lose their manager halfway through. And, pretty much did not make any type of transactions or moves during the season that could help their team win. You know what I mean? They just kind of went through the flow of things. And I think the Indians had a good idea of where they're going to be. It's going to be a whole brand new situation with the name change and everything like that. So, send off Chief Wahoo with a pretty disappointing season. So then you can start fresh with, I don't know, what are they going to use, a big statue or something as the mascot now?
They're going to have to bury that axe, man.
Right. The Guardians.
Or that hammer or whatever the hell he's got.
The Guardians?
Yeah, whatever, yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if I can go to a Guardians game. It just don't sound right. Like, we're going to the Guardians game tonight. Yeah. Anybody want to go?
Nah, it doesn't sound right.
Sounds like a police league game.
Yeah, but no doubt, huh? So in this game, yeah, it's a battle of attrition here. Two mediocre teams, disappointment. Really for both teams, because I really did feel that the Royals would take a step forward. They've got some nice pieces. They're very, very deficient in their pitching, obviously. And even though initially I was willing to overlook it, but it was just too much to overcome. Zach Plesac is one of the better pitchers on the Indians, but he's had a disappointing year, man. 4.5 ERA. Yeah, his win-loss record looks pretty decent at 10-6, but I mean, come on, man. You were supposed to be the ace of the staff, and he's really reverted to the mean. The Royals are at home. They're competing with the Kansas City Chiefs in terms of local market. The Royals, by the way, are almost a 500 team at home, 37-39. I'm going to take the Royals plus 100 here.
All right.
Give the home fans a little bit of something to cheer about.
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and take the Guardians. We used to call them the Indians. Carlito's way. They used to call you the Indians. Now they call you your Guardians. South. All right, but I'm taking the Indians tonight. Plesac should be good on the mound tonight. They've been back and forth all year in their games as well, too. I think the Indians wind up winning this one. I'm taking the minus 120 on them tonight. But actually, you know what? I like the minus 120, but, Mike, I love the over more. That's actually on my ticket is the over 9. And I think that we can go ahead and get that one. So let's move on, talk about a good game tonight. A's, Mariners, minus 115, Mariners, minus 105. We can both say that the A's, you're done. But they had a great year. But they just, if we're at the track and you hit the stretch, that's the horse that moved back. He's starting to just move at the same speed while the other horses are just getting faster. You know what I mean? And that's exactly what happened to the A's. And I think that this will be a very good game. But the Mariners are hot. They're very hot. And I think that they continue their hotness and get themselves a nice win tonight over the A's, sweep the series, get themselves prepared for the Angels this weekend at home, and trying to go ahead and sneak into that second wild card spot this weekend, if not the first, Mike.
We'll see.
We'll see.
The play here to me is the A's.
Okay.
If the Mariners weren't on this hot streak or whatever, the A's, they're getting such value because of that, because the perception is that the Mariners are maybe playoff bound. But Frankie Montas has been a really nice bright spot for the Oakland Athletics, man. 13-9, 3.48 ERA in a division that's got some hitting. I like the A's here, man. They would like nothing more than to upset the team that they're supposed to be in front of. It's topsy-turvy. They ain't happy about it. The A's come out here and get a win.
All right. So we'll see how it goes. The A's do need a win. Just for the pride. You know what I mean? For the pride.
For sure.
For the pride. All right. So there it is with that. Let's go ahead and look at my pick 6 for tonight. My pick 6. Great ticket tonight, Mike. I like it. I like it. It's a 50-1 shot as well, too. And you see where I'm going with this. Under 8.5 Cubs Pirates, plus 1.5 Marlins, minus 1.5 to the Twins, Angels plus 100, over 9 Indians Royals, Mariners money line minus 110, and that's the way it is, Mike. And pretty much I know we're not agreeing on most of the stuff, but hey, if Mike gets most of the winners tonight, then he gets to cash the big ticket tonight.
Well, we were in complete agreement. And what did that get us? Maybe now that there's some disagreement, it comes through.
Hey, it works every week for me and Jeff when we do NFL betting.
There you go. There you go. Hey, whatever formula works, man.
Right.
There was a stretch a couple of years ago where I was so cold. I said, I'm going to give you guys some locks, absolute locks, guaranteed winners. Just take the opposite of what I pick, and you got some winners. Because that's how cold I was a few years ago. So, you know, it's a streaky business, man. It's a streaky business, the business of sports gaming. And, you know, the thing to do is to go after the odds like you do in an intelligent manner.
Yes. Yeah, man. You know, just reading lines and trying to figure out things, look at little notes, things of that nature.
Yep.
Like, especially when I deal with the NFL, the way that I really try to, this is why I do NFL betting exchange, because it gives me more time to do notes and things and just talk about one specific sport. So when I do that, I write down certain notes that I see with stats and stuff like that. And then that usually gives me the best idea who's going to win Sunday, because there's a lot of things that go right back to against the spreads, how this team plays on the road, how this team plays as a dog, how this team plays as a favorite, blase. And I got Excel sheets for all that stuff. I know a lot of people like, oh, just go get the stat stuff. I'm like, well, it's funner just keeping it yourself. You know what I mean?
Well, once you get immersed in it, once you get immersed in it, you're able to digest it more. You understand the depth of it more, for sure.
Right. So I know Mike's excited. You guys know that this weekend Santa Anita does return for the month. So it should be good. They got some good stakes races and everything. And I just wanted to let you guys know while I'm on air, we will have horsing around back, because I'm at my back. I'm over here at my house, Santa Anita, which is 10 minutes away from me. Like, not even 10, Mike, maybe 5. You know what I mean? But I say 10 just to be
how great is that to live next to the great race place? That's awesome.
Oh, well, you know what you call it. Hey, sometimes people just look at it as if it's a racetrack. I look at it as if it's my ATM or something like that. It's time to go make some money.
Yeah.
I don't even like going past there if I'm not going in there. Seriously. But yeah, man, I look forward to this weekend, Mike. Make sure you guys catch the show. Maybe you might catch me on one of Gino's little programs this weekend too, talking horse racing as well. You might catch me on Mike Abadir's show tomorrow as well too. Mike, give them a time when they can go ahead and listen to Mike's golden voice.
How about this? Let's set it up right now.
Okay, now
breaking news. Pop DiBiase and myself tomorrow, 4 p.m. Pacific time, Voice America Radio Network. You can Google it or look at my Twitter at Mike Abadir, Abadir, all one word, no periods in between, at Mike Abadir on the Twitter. And I will send out a link for the show every Thursday. We're on every Thursday at 4:00. Tomorrow we'll be pleased and honored to have with us the primetime handicapper himself.
Well, you know, I had to make up from last week. So, you know, I got you, Mike. I got you.
Let's do
And we
it.
can talk some horse racing as well too. I have my notes ready for that.
All right. That sounds good, man. I'll have to do a little handicapping tonight.
All right, because I know you, Mike. I know you don't want to talk Santa Anita, so bring it on.
Let's do it.
You know what time it is. So, with that, I thank you guys so much for tuning in to the Premier Sports Betting Show. Once again, I want to thank my man Mike Abadir for giving us his time today as well. So, you guys already know what it is. You guys, if you got a hunch, bet a bunch. Don't bet with your head, not with your heart. The movement is moving. This is the Premier Sports Betting Show, the Primetime Angles Live, hosted by the one and only Pop DiBiase, the Primetime Capper, with the sports radio sports agent aficionado himself, Mr. Mike Abadir. And we are gone.
From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production,